You know those moments in life where everything splits cleanly into before and after? Mine was a birthday cake. Not mine. Hers. It was the kind with too many candles. The kind people buy when they're pretending not to be bitter about turning 40. Chocolate ganache, white icing cursive, and a little edible shoe because apparently, hitting middle age meant celebrating like a teenager with a Nordstrom addiction. I was in the kitchen, slicing the thing into polite suburban wedges, when I saw it. A text. Her phone was on the counter. It lit up with the subtle arrogance of someone not worried about being caught. I didn't mean to look, honestly, but when a message pops up saying, "Can't wait to unwrap you tonight. Wrapped gift. You look." And buddy, I looked. My wife, Tessa, was laughing with her friends in the living room. Perfect hair. Perfect dress. That fake little laugh she used when she wanted someone to feel like they were the only person in the room. I used to love that laugh. Until I realized it didn't belong to me anymore. The text was from M. Just M. Not Mike, not Matt, not even a cute nickname like Muffin. Just a single letter, like this was James Bond, Adultery Edition. Now, here's where most men would have marched into the living room and detonated the evening. But me? I kept serving cake. Because I'm not most men. Instead, I slid her phone back in place, smiled, and handed out dessert like a host who hadn't just been invited to the final episode of his own marriage. I even laughed at a joke her sister told. I don't remember what it was. Something about Pilates and wine nights and not needing a man. Oh, the irony. Later that night, while she went to bed early because the wine hit hard, I stayed up. Not to sulk, not to spiral. I had work to do. I'm a systems analyst, which is just a fancy way of saying, if there's a pattern, I'll find it. I built software for banks, audited security logs for fun. You think a cheating wife's digital trail was going to outmaneuver me? Please. By 2 a.m., I had passwords, deleted messages, backups. She wasn't just texting M. She was FaceTiming him. In lingerie I hadn't seen in years. She used to say she was too tired, too stressed. Funny how a man named M fixed that. Now here's the part that still makes me chuckle. She was sloppy. A predictable cheater. Tuesdays, when she said she was at yoga, no mat, no sweat, just hotel receipts. Thursday lunches with Megan. Megan had moved to Colorado 6 months ago. And Fridays? Let's just say the dry cleaner was not pressing blouses, unless that's what the kids are calling it these days. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because the thing about playing dumb is it buys you time. And I needed time, not to decide whether to leave her. That part was done the second I saw that text. I needed time to build the ending. The kind of ending that makes a woman sit bolt upright in bed 6 months later and wonder, how the hell did he pull that off? Oh, and I would. The thing about revenge is, it's like slow-cooked barbecue. You could crank the heat and burn the thing to a crisp in 20 minutes. Or you could let it marinate, let the flavors deepen, let the smoke curl under the skin until it falls apart with a whisper. Guess which one I picked? I started small, subtle, strategic. I call it the soft launch phase, where she gets everything she thinks she wants, and I take everything I need while smiling like an idiot in a rom-com. First move, I started being agreeable. She said she wanted more space. I gave her space, room to cheat in peace, thinking I was clueless. I encouraged her girls' weekends, nodded when she said, "Don't wait up." Even upgraded her phone plan. "Just want you to have everything you need, babe." That phone. Synced. You should have seen her eyes sparkle. She thought I was softening, healing, maybe even blaming myself for the whole distance between us. Classic narcissist optimism. The belief that betrayal only becomes a problem if the other person notices. Meanwhile, I was building a war chest. By week 2, I had 3 months of bank statements, deleted message logs, restored, a backup of her cloud storage, including a video of M and her I wouldn't recommend watching on a full stomach. Voice memos titled things like, "You make me feel alive again." Cute. Very Nicholas Sparks. If Nicholas Sparks wrote books about midlife crisis morons with married girlfriends. Now, just to be clear, I wasn't hurt. Not anymore. Hurt had left the building, packed its bags, and been replaced by a man with a plan and a full tank of patience. I still made her breakfast. Still kissed her on the forehead. Still bought flowers. All of it designed to lull her deeper into comfort, into that beautiful, arrogant fog where she believed the lie was working. One night, she even leaned across the dinner table and said, "I really feel like we're in a better place lately." I smiled. Me too. She had no idea. Now, about M. Through her messages, I found out he was a regional sales director for some startups selling AI toothbrushes or something equally unnecessary. Divorced. Wore loafers without socks. The kind of guy who says, "Let's circle back," and unironically means it. But the real gem? His LinkedIn profile. You'd be amazed what a man can do with an HR connection, a fake job listing, and access to M's digital schedule. Let's just say I started laying breadcrumbs. A new opportunity in a bigger city, a flattering recruiter email, a fake interview invite sent to his spam folder with just enough urgency to get him to change plans last minute. I wasn't going to hurt him physically. That's too easy. Too primitive. No, I was going to inconvenience him with style. But Tessa, she was the real focus. She thought she had both of us wrapped around her French manicured finger. Playing the doting wife at brunch with my parents and the spicy girlfriend in hotel rooms by the freeway. She didn't know the foundations of her fantasy life were about to crack, one polite gesture at a time. You see, I was slowly pulling me out of her world. Bank accounts? Separated, for tax purposes. House deed? Quietly refinanced in my name. Well, updated. Life insurance? Redirected. Subscriptions, utilities, even the dog's vet records. Everything that once said Mr. and Mrs. was being rerouted. Silently. Legally. Logically. Tessa didn't see it, because she wasn't looking. She was too busy falling deeper into the belief that I was a background character in her love story. And M? He was about to get a promotion he didn't apply for. So here's the thing about men like M. They love to feel chosen. They eat it up. The secret meetings, the sultry glances, the rush of seducing another man's wife like they're starring in their own off-Broadway fantasy. But what they really love is thinking they're about to win. That's why, when M received an email from a company called Virion Tech, an up-and-coming firm with real buzz and even real employees, he was practically foaming at the mouth. The job pitch was perfect. Regional VP, double his current salary, based in Miami. A city far enough to force decisions, but tempting enough to imagine a life upgrade. The email came from Clara, a fake recruiter with a LinkedIn presence more convincing than most real people. Complete with mutual connections, testimonials, and a headshot I borrowed from a yoga instructor's blog. Don't worry, I tipped her via Venmo for the digital theft. M was hooked. He even messaged Tessa about it. M, if this works out, you wouldn't have to sneak around anymore. We could be us. Really us. Tessa, you'd really want me to come with you? M wouldn't ask if I didn't. And that, my friend, was checkmate prelude. Because while he was fantasizing about beachfront apartments and sunrise espresso with my wife, I was preparing a very different kind of transition. See, Tessa didn't know the mortgage had been rewritten in a trust, one she wasn't listed on. She didn't know the home security system had a silent exit alert on her key fob, or that every drawer sheet filled with her curated skincare arsenal was now technically guest property, according to the new tenancy contract filed quietly with the county. She also didn't know I'd installed a nanny cam in the orchid pot. Why? Because if someone's going to betray you in your own living room, they should at least do it on camera. I watched her one Tuesday afternoon while I pretended to be at a work conference. She was on the phone, pacing in yoga pants that had never seen a gym. I don't know, baby. He's been weirdly nice. It's like he suspects something, but he hasn't said a word. It's actually kind of creepy. Then she laughed. She laughed. Said something about how maybe she'd just keep me around for the money. And that's when I made the final decision. She wasn't going to get dumped. She was going to get orphaned from the life she thought she owned. Now let me pause and clarify something. I didn't hate Tessa. Hate is too pure for what I felt. This wasn't about rage. This was about equilibrium. She tilted the scale. I just brought a wrecking ball. So when M booked his flight to Miami to attend a fake final interview at a fake hotel with a fake hiring panel, I let it happen. Even sent Tessa off with a wink when she told me she was visiting her cousin in Denver, which, of course, was code for, I'm following my secret boyfriend to the city where I'll start my new life after torching the old one. Perfect. Let the toast burn. The day they left felt like a Tuesday. Isn't that wild? You'd think when your wife and her side piece run off to start their fresh little Florida fairy tale, the skies would crack open or the birds would fly backward or something. But no, just a Tuesday. Mild breeze. Trash pickup day. I even waved to the neighbor on my morning walk. Tessa told me she was flying out to Denver for family stuff, and I nodded like a man too clueless to care. She packed 2 suitcases, wore sunglasses indoors, and kissed me on the cheek like she thought I'd die without her. I stood there in the foyer, still holding my coffee, and said, "Text me when you land." She smiled. Of course. She never did, and I didn't need her to, because I already had the flight number. She was headed to Miami, seat 14A, on a Delta flight leaving at 2:47 p.m. I know, because I booked it. Yes, I booked it. Using her points. The same points I'd transferred from her rewards account weeks earlier when she forgot I used to work in IT security. So there I was, sipping a scotch in her favorite glass, watching their flight path crawl across a screen like 2 little ants heading toward a magnifying glass. My face didn't move, not because I wasn't feeling anything, but because the feeling had already come and gone. This wasn't heartbreak. This was harvest. Let me explain. See, when you're dealing with someone like Tessa, someone who sees people as utility, as props in the sitcom of their own ego, the worst thing you can do is fight for them. You don't plead. You don't beg. You erase. And erasing is an art. That morning, while she was curling her hair and deleting messages she didn't know I already had backed up on a private server, I was downstairs meeting a locksmith. The front door lock? Changed. Garage code? Reprogrammed. Even the dog's RFID tag was swapped out for a new one. When she came back, she'd find exactly one thing. Nothing. Because I also had movers come. Tessa's side of the closet? Gone. Our bathroom? Now mine. Her precious perfume tray, her color-coded shoe rack, her little wine fridge full of overpriced rose, boxed, donated, or tossed. The couch she picked out when she still loved me? Sold. And just to tie a nice bow on the whole interior purge, I swapped our king bed for a minimalist twin XL, cold and clinical as a hospital room. The symbolism was petty, and I stand by it. But that wasn't the real revenge. That came later. See, while they were sipping overpriced cocktails in Miami and planning Pinterest boards for their imagined life together, M received an email. Not from Clara. From Human Resources. An actual one. From his company. Subject line: Ethics Violation Review. Immediate attention required. Turns out, when you use a corporate card to book hotels for personal use, especially with timestamps that overlap suspiciously with internal events you were too sick to attend, people start asking questions. You know what makes them ask faster? Screenshots, dates, GPS pings. You know what makes them really suspicious? A tip from an anonymous colleague claiming he was sexually involved with a married employee at a vendor company, compromising negotiations and potential NDAs. That tip came with receipts. I wrote it in the tone of someone who didn't want to cause trouble, but felt morally obligated to speak up. HR departments love that kind of language. Sounds noble, reads like liability insurance. Within 48 hours, M was pulled from active deals and placed on administrative leave pending internal review. Tessa didn't know yet. She was too busy posting blurry beach photos with cryptic captions like, "Sometimes, happiness is just one flight away." Oh, sweetheart, you didn't take a flight to happiness. You took a direct flight to the burn unit. And now for the kicker, because I promised you unexpected. The morning of day 3 in Miami, while they were sipping hotel room coffee, Tessa got a call from her bank. All 4 of our joint accounts. Emptied. Not illegally. I transferred every cent to an account in my name months ago and closed the joints properly. She never noticed. Too busy texting M under the table during family dinners. She called me. I didn't answer. She texted, "Tessa, what happened to our savings?" Me. "Didn't realize you still considered it ours." She replied with a paragraph. I didn't read it. That afternoon, she tried to access the smart home app to view the front camera. Access denied. She called again. Voicemail. Then I posted something. Just a single Facebook photo of me, smiling, at the housewarming party I threw that day. New furniture. New friends. New life. Caption: Fresh starts are underrated. She unfriended me within the hour. And that, my friend, was the end of the soft silence. After that, she started to unravel. I wasn't watching, but people told me. The mutuals. The ones who always liked me better anyway. M lost his job by week 2. Turns out, he wasn't just unethical. He was also bad at covering his tracks. She stayed in Miami longer than expected. Couldn't afford to come home. When she finally did return, she found the locks changed. Her things gone. Her name legally unlinked from everything we once shared. Even the dog preferred me. She sent one last message. You ruined my life. I stared at it for a while, then typed back. No, you designed this life. I just made sure you lived in it. Send. 3 weeks. That's how long it took before Tessa reappeared in town, dragging a suitcase behind her like a war widow who forgot she started the war. She showed up at my door. Well, what used to be her door, with that same high-chin composure she always used when she was about to manipulate a room. Hair done. Makeup flawless. That purse with the little gold accents she loved so much clutched like a talisman. She rang the bell 3 times. I didn't answer. I watched through the peephole as she tried the handle. Locked. Then the keypad. Denied. She stepped back, blinking like it was just a glitch in the matrix, not the consequence of her own decisions. Eventually, she pulled out her phone. She called me. Decline. Then she called again. And again. 4th time, I picked up. Put her on speaker. Me? Tessa. Tessa. Let me in. Me, why? Tessa. Because this is still my house. You can't just. I cut her off. Me. It's not your house. Not legally. Not financially. Not emotionally. Not anything ally. She paused. I could hear her breathing. Slow, shallow, calculated. Tessa. We need to talk. I made a mistake. Now let me stop here and explain something to you. That line, I made a mistake, that's a classic. You don't even have to cheat to learn it. It's taught somewhere between Drama 101 and Advanced Gaslighting. It sounds like humility, but it's just recon. A probe. She was fishing for weakness. I didn't bite. Me. You made a decision. Multiple ones. And I made mine. Tessa, you're not being fair. I laughed. Not loud. Just enough to be heard. Me. You cheated, lied, emptied our life into another man's lap, then tried to steal a new one without paying for the last one. But I'm not being fair. She went quiet, but not in a guilty way. No, Tessa never did guilt. Her silence was more like calculation, the kind of pause a chess player makes right before they try something desperate. Tessa, this isn't over. And there it was. Not sadness, not apology, just entitlement with a fresh coat of desperation. I hung up. She stayed out there for another 5 minutes. Then she left, probably to one of her friends' houses. The ones who used to call me so stable and the rock. The ones who were suspiciously quiet when her affair came to light. That night, she tried again. This time, legal. I got a letter from her lawyer. Hand-delivered. Full of flowery, passive-aggressive phrasing like seeks equitable division and requests access to marital assets. She wanted the house, the car, half the savings. The thing is, Tessa never paid attention to paperwork. She was a vibes over fine print type of girl. So when she signed the separation of property agreement 8 months earlier during our estate planning meeting, she thought it was just standard insurance stuff. It wasn't. It was legal documentation separating all joint ownership into individual holdings. A subtle, clever maneuver executed by my very talented and very quiet lawyer, who specializes in unconventional exits. That document meant everything I'd built, everything I'd moved, shifted, sold, stored, all of it was mine. So when her lawyer called mine and started rattling off demands, mine simply replied, I believe your client waived her rights when she signed Form 14C. Silence. Then, she what? Oh, she did. And just like that, the queen tried to take back the board and slipped on her own move. Now don't get me wrong, I wasn't trying to bankrupt her. I wasn't out to destroy her livelihood. I just wasn't going to fund the next chapter of her love story. What she did get was the second car, the one with the broken AC and an engine that ticked like a time bomb. And a couch she didn't want, in a storage unit I prepaid for exactly 3 months. After that, eviction notice goes straight to her inbox. It wasn't cruel. It was mathematically fair. You gamble your marriage, you lose the house. And him? Well, he tried to bounce back. Started a consulting firm. One of those empower the future types with a vague mission statement and recycled buzzwords. It never got off the ground. Turns out, when you've been fired for ethics violations and ghosted by half your LinkedIn endorsements, it's hard to sell integrity. Tessa moved in with him for a while. Until that fell apart too. Apparently, M didn't like being unemployed and angry. And Tessa didn't like being broke and ignored. They fizzled out like a dollar store candle. And when it did, I got another message from her. I was wrong about everything. You'd think I'd feel something reading that. But I didn't. Not rage. Not glee. Not even validation. Just clarity. Because when someone shows you who they are, you don't rebuild. You recalculate. 3 weeks after the legal dust settled, I woke up to a strange text from a buddy of mine. Dude, check Facebook. She's going public. So I did. And there it was. A long, meandering post from Tessa, complete with a sad selfie, a steaming mug of tea, and a quote from some author she never actually read. Sometimes the people you take a bullet for are the ones pulling the trigger. Oh, please. She called it my truth. She painted a portrait of a cold, distant husband. Emotionally unavailable. Hypercritical. More focused on spreadsheets than affection. She never said my name. Oh no, she was too clever for that. But everyone knew. The post got likes. Dozens of them. Stay strong, queen. You deserve happiness. Men are trash. There was even a comment from a girl named Britt with a sunflower emoji in her name. I never liked how he talked to you. You were always glowing when you were with you-know-who. Dizzy yellow heart. That was the moment I decided, enough. I wasn't going to respond with rage. I wasn't going to get defensive. That's exactly what she wanted. A man flailing in the comments section, looking like a guilty ex with control issues. Nah, I took a different route. I made a post of my own. It started simple. Since narratives are being crafted, here are just a few facts. Then I dropped them. Not opinions. Not accusations. Facts. A photo of the receipt from the hotel she visited with M. Timestamped during the week she told me she was with her sister. A screenshot of her text to M that said, I feel like I'm finally breathing when I'm with you. He's so dull. A clip from our home camera system. The one where she snuck out at 3:11 a.m. and said she was going to the pharmacy. I didn't include commentary. I didn't have to. I let her words speak for her. I ended it with, silence isn't always ignorance. Sometimes it's grace on a timer. The comments? Oh, they turned quick. Suddenly, all those you deserve better warriors turned into, wait, what? Yikes, this didn't age well. Unfollowing. This is messy. Tessa, girl, what the hell? She posted one follow-up. A limp. I didn't expect my private pain to be weaponized. Weaponized? You mean archived? See, people forget. In the age of documentation, your lies don't just get caught. They get curated. And if your integrity is on fire, don't blame the guy holding the fire extinguisher. Now, to be clear, I wasn't out for sympathy. I didn't want applause. I just wanted the scales balanced. Because for months, I let her rewrite the story like I was a plot device in her drama. This was the edit. And once the truth landed, she vanished. Deleted the post. Disabled comments. Even deactivated her account for a while. Radio silence. I thought that might be the end of it. Until the podcast. Yeah, you read that right. She went on a podcast. One of those empowerment for women by women who ignore red flags type shows. Episode title, I Survived a Narcissist. I laughed so hard I had to pull over. She told a dramatic story, vague, embellished, practically fiction. Talked about how she escaped control and found the courage to choose herself. Said the relationship was covertly abusive, and yet somehow never mentioned. The affair, the money she tried to take, the other man she ran to, the documents she signed voluntarily. You can survive a narcissist. Sure, but you don't cheat with a shirtless regional sales director while surviving. I didn't respond, at least not publicly. What I did do, I sent a polite email to the podcast's legal department. Included copies of the separation agreements, timestamps, and evidence that this narrative was not only false, it was potentially defamatory. Very calmly, I explained that I wouldn't sue unless her story stayed up. They pulled it within 48 hours. No apology, no explanation. But hey, I wasn't looking for one. Some people rewrite history. Others keep the receipts. A month passed. The dust had settled. My house was quiet, clean, and mine again. No more tension walking on eggshells. No more fake smiles over morning coffee. The silence was honest now. It was earned. I was starting to think the show was finally over. And then, because of course, she knocked again. No warning this time. No text. Just the sound of those familiar heels clicking on the porch like they still belonged there. I opened the door, not wide, just enough to make eye contact. She looked different. Not broken. Just drained. She didn't have a speech prepared. That threw me. Tessa, I need to talk to you. Me? You've done a lot of talking. Tessa, I mean privately. Please. I studied her. She wasn't here to cry. Not here to apologize either. That much was obvious. This wasn't about regret. This was strategy. And I was curious. So I let her in. She walked slowly, taking in the room like she didn't recognize it. Because she didn't. The layout had changed. The air had changed. She had changed. Tessa, you've been busy. Me, I had time. And motivation. She nodded. Sat down. I stayed standing. Tessa, I want to propose something. Of course you do. She leaned forward, laced her fingers together like she was negotiating a merger. Tessa, we built a life together. I know things got complicated. Complicated. Sure. If betrayal's a Rubik's Cube. Tessa, but we still have mutual friends. A shared history. And honestly, my reputation's taken a hit. There it was. The real reason she was here. Tessa, I was wondering if we could post something. Together. Maybe a statement. Something like, we mutually parted ways. No hard feelings. Still respect each other. I couldn't help it. I laughed. It wasn't cruel. It was just instinctual. Reflexive. Like your body knows something's ridiculous before your brain catches up. Me. You want to release a joint press statement for a marriage you blew up? She had the nerve to look offended. Tessa, I'm trying to clean things up. For both of us. Me, no. You're trying to put a bow on a bomb. She stood up then. That sharpness returned to her eyes. Tessa, you think this makes you look good? You think people are going to remember your little receipts forever? I didn't answer. Tessa, fine. But don't think I don't have things I could say too. And there it was. The threat. Subtle. Veiled. Predictable. She always thought she had leverage. Always thought she could bluff her way out of consequences. But this time, she overplayed it. Me. Actually, I was hoping you'd say that. Her eyes narrowed. I walked to the side table, pulled out a folder, and slid it across the counter. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside, a transcript of our prenup she never bothered reading. Screenshots of her resignation from our joint LLC. Evidence of her voluntary waiver of spousal support. And the real kicker? A signed affidavit from M's ex-wife, who'd reached out to me, unprompted, with a detailed account of how Tessa had torpedoed not one, but two families. Me. Go ahead. Say whatever you want. Just know I've got the full narrative, and I won't be quiet twice. Her face flushed, lips parting, but no sound came out. It was the look of a chess player realizing the king can't move and the queen's already off the board. She closed the folder. Tessa, you're not the man I married. Me, no. I'm the man you thought you could play. She left without another word. I didn't watch her go. Didn't need to. Because in that moment, I knew the truth. The game was never about getting even. It was about getting free. And I was. Truly. Peace is a funny thing. You expect it to show up like a grand finale. Fireworks, credits rolling, the heroic soundtrack kicking in. But in real life, peace shows up quiet. Soft. Barefoot. Like one Tuesday morning when I woke up, realized I didn't dread the day, and made pancakes just because I wanted to. No silent treatment in the kitchen. No tension clinging to the air like steam. Just stillness. I started hiking again. Rebuilt the garage shelves. Got really into pour-over coffee. The kind of activities you do when your heart finally remembers it has other jobs besides breaking. My phone was quieter these days. No Tessa. No drama. Just the occasional group chat ping and a few awkward, hey, just checking in texts from mutuals who'd picked the wrong side early and were now trying to backpedal with grace. I didn't hold grudges, but I did hold records. And then, just as I was settling into that sweet groove of normal, I got a message. Not a text. A voicemail. From her. Not Tessa. Her. The curveball. The voice was soft, but certain. Hey, this is Natalie. I'm not sure if you remember me. We met once at the fundraiser. I was the one who tripped on the dessert table. Glamorous, I know. I smiled. I did remember her. Black dress. Nervous laugh. Frosting on her heels. Tessa had rolled her eyes at her like she was gum stuck to her Louboutin. Anyway, Natalie continued. I just wanted to say, I saw the post. The one where you shared your side of things. And, well, thank you. It reminded me I'm not crazy. There was a pause. The kind where you can hear someone wrestling with whether to say the next part. I went through something similar. Not the same, but close enough to feel it. And I guess, if you ever want to talk to someone who gets it, not in a creepy way, promise, I'm around. Click. That was it. No pitch. No pity. No agenda. Just a kind, human voice that sounded like it came from someone who knew what it felt like to be the calm after someone else's storm. I waited 3 days before calling her back. Not because I was playing games, but because for the first time in a long time, I wanted to make sure I was calling as me, not as the version of me that needed to prove something, or feel something, or win something. Just me. We met at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. I wore the only shirt I had that didn't carry the memory of a Tessa argument stitched into the fabric. She was already there when I walked in, laptop closed, teacup in hand, and that same crooked smile I remembered from the dessert table incident. Natalie, you showed up. Me. I've been told I'm dependable. Sometimes to a fault. She laughed. Not polite laughter, real laughter. The kind that makes people at other tables look up, then smile, even if they don't know why. We didn't talk about Tessa. Not at first. We talked about the hiking trail outside town, the new Thai place neither of us had tried, her job in nonprofit admin, my new coffee obsession. It felt easy, which, honestly, was disorienting after everything. You spend enough time surviving chaos, you forget how to sit in quiet company without scanning for the exits. But I didn't want to exit. Not this time. At one point, she looked at me and said, Natalie, it's weird, isn't it? How sometimes the worst people introduce us to the right ones. And that hit me harder than any breakup, any betrayal, any slap of reality that came before. Because she was right. Without the lies, I wouldn't have found my truth. Without Tessa, I wouldn't have found me. And maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't have found Natalie either. It had been almost 2 months since I met Natalie at that cafe. And life was calm. Like, genuinely calm. The kind of calm you don't trust at first, like a dog that suddenly stops barking after 3 hours. You keep looking around for the chaos, thinking, no way is this real. Something's about to explode. But nothing did. Not at first. Natalie and I kept it slow. Coffee. Walks. Some long drives with music and no talking. Just enough presence to remind me what connection felt like, but never too much to trigger the alarms that Tessa had wired into my nervous system. It felt honest, which is why the envelope on my windshield hit me like a piano falling out of the sky. It was a Tuesday again. Isn't it always a Tuesday? I'd just gotten back from the grocery store, almond milk, blueberries, ground espresso, very adult, very calm. I was pushing my cart toward the car when I saw it. A plain white envelope, wedged under the wiper blade. My first thought, parking ticket. Second thought, some charity flyer. But the third thought, the gut level one, said, nope. This is personal. I pulled it out. My name. Just my name. In handwriting that made my stomach go cold. Tessa's. I sat in the driver's seat for a full minute before opening it. Just breathing. Just staring at the paper like it might change into something else if I blinked enough. Inside, one photo. One sentence. The photo was a grainy picture. A screen grab, maybe. From a camera feed? I couldn't tell. But it was me and Natalie, laughing outside a restaurant. Nothing compromising. Just warm. Too warm for someone like Tessa to leave alone. The note beneath it? She deserves to know who you really are. No signature. No explanation. And yet, I didn't need one. Tessa wasn't done. She wasn't storming the castle anymore. She was lighting matches in the woods, hoping to watch the fire catch from a distance. But here's the thing. I had already told Natalie everything. Every ugly piece. She knew about the affair. The photos. The legal stuff. Even the parts one hadn't posted. I gave her the truth on day 3, not out of fear, but out of respect. She didn't flinch. So now, seeing this envelope, I wasn't scared. I wasn't even angry. I was amused. Because the woman who once thought she could outmaneuver me was now just grasping in the dark, trying to rearrange a story that wasn't hers anymore. I called Natalie. Me. You home? Natalie, yeah. Everything okay? Me. Got something weird I want you to see. But don't worry, it's not that kind of weird. She laughed. Natalie. With you, I kind of expect weird. Bring it. I drove over. Handed her the envelope. She read it slowly, then stared at the photo. She blinked once. Then twice. Then looked at me. Natalie, did she really think I didn't know? Me. She's not trying to warn you. She's trying to poison the well. Natalie looked at the note again. Then back at me. Natalie, you think she's planning something else? Me, no. I think this was the plan. Natalie, then it's a sad one. She folded the paper and slid it back into the envelope like it was trash she didn't want to litter her life with. Natalie, you want me to worry. I get it. But I've seen worse. I've been worse. And honestly, if this is the best she's got left, then I'm not scared of her. And you shouldn't be either. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Not because I thought Natalie would leave, but because there was something healing about seeing someone take your past, look it in the face, and not run. That night, I burned the envelope in the fire pit. Not out of spite. Out of closure. I watched the edges curl, blacken, and turn to ash. Then I went inside, poured 2 glasses of wine, and sat with someone who didn't need a clean history, just an honest present. I wish I could tell you the grand finale ended with a courtroom, a mic drop, maybe a dramatic slow clap from the back of the room. But real closure? It's quieter, more surgical. It came in the form of a certified letter delivered to Tessa's new P.O. box. One last document. No lawyers. No fanfare. Just 1 page. Inside, a notarized statement revoking everything that remained. The final piece of shared insurance policies? Cancelled. Her name on my emergency contact list? Replaced. That recurring payment for her cloud storage she forgot I was covering? Terminated. Oh, and a little detail she didn't expect, a cease and desist order. No more envelopes. No more games. No more late-night whispers about my character to mutual friends. The letter was crisp, polite, legally flawless. She didn't respond, not directly. But a week later, a mutual friend texted me a screenshot. Tessa had posted a cryptic quote on Instagram, white text over a black square. Some people mistake silence for weakness, but silence is where the real strength lives. Which was hilarious, because silence was all she had left. The story she tried to control had been peeled away. The people she thought would rally behind her? Gone. The safety net of my kindness? Cut clean. But the twist, the final move, wasn't about her. It was about me. And Natalie. 3 months after the envelope incident, we went hiking. A short trail, nothing ambitious, just a walk to clear our heads and breathe cleaner air. She stopped halfway up, on a hill overlooking the city, hands in her jacket pockets. Natalie, so, you ever think about starting over? Not running away, just starting better? Me. Every day. She smiled. Not the nervous kind. The kind that says I'm not afraid of where this goes. And right there, no big speech, no cheesy music, I realized something. Tessa didn't break me. She edited me, cut out the parts that needed replacing, and in the process, made space for someone who didn't need me to prove anything. Just to show up. Every day, fully present. Not perfect, not polished, just honest. So what happened to Tessa? She moved cities. Started over. I heard she's doing coaching now. Some mix of lifestyle consulting and curated empowerment quotes. She's got a new Instagram handle and a highlights reel full of smiles. But people who know. I don't follow her. Never check. Not out of pettiness, but because my story no longer includes her. And that is the best revenge. Not the scorched earth. Not the courtroom battles. Not even the exposed lies. The best revenge is being so far beyond it, they don't even get a chapter anymore. They get a footnote. A warning sign to your better self. A memory that taught you how to never let someone shrink you to fit inside their lie. And maybe, just maybe, the quiet satisfaction of knowing you walked away clean.